and a very good evening to all of you. I know that all of you are waiting for the award ceremony. I'm coming in between the award ceremony and all of you. So Anurag Batra ji has also come now. So thank you Business World and thank you Anurag ji for inviting me here and giving me an opportunity to interact with all of you. I have been told to speak on future of higher education. Now speaking on future of higher education is something which is very difficult because the future right now is so uncertain. Nobody knows what the future is, especially after this AI and the technological interventions. The future of higher education is almost uncertain. When we talk of VUCA world, it is really, really uncertain. Therefore, it is becoming very difficult for our universities to prepare the students for the future because they don't know what the future is. So, what the universities best can do is teaching the students or sort of making the students capable of learning to learn, that how to learn, because the learning will keep on changing, but if they learn how to learn, that is the best thing which the universities can teach them. But then again, when we say that the future will be different, how different it will be? Say we talk about our national education policy. I also remember this is an often quoted example or anecdote which I mention in many of the conferences, that in 1905, Einstein gave a question paper to his students. And when the teaching assistant saw the question paper, he came running to Einstein and said, "Sir, kuch gadbad ho gaya." He says, "Kya hua?" He says, "Sir, kuch galat paper chala gaya." He says, "But what has happened?" He says, "Sir, ये वही paper है जो पिछले साल इन्हीं बच्चों को दिया था. Same set of students, same question paper we gave last year, and say this year also same question paper, so there is something wrong." So Einstein smiled. He said, "Nothing is wrong. Questions are the same, but the answers are different." Why? Because in 1905, Einstein published 4 papers which are known as Annals of Physics Education, which were dealing with theory of relativity, Brownian motion, that E is equal to mc square, which you all have learned in your schools. So the questions were different, but the questions were same, but the answers were different. Similarly, after more than 100 years, that was 1905, now we're in 2024, so more than 119 years, the same scenario is repeating. Questions are the same. What to teach, how to assess and evaluate the students, but the answers are totally different. For example, what to teach. Now, I was telling you the dilemma which the higher education institutions are facing, that what to teach is changing every 2 months, 3 months. When you talk of half life of knowledge, half life of knowledge means by how much time the knowledge becomes, half of the knowledge becomes obsolete. So in 2021, this half life of knowledge was 15 months. That in 15 months, half of the knowledge which you are learning today will become obsolete. In 2024, this half life of knowledge has become 4 months. 4 to 5 months. In 5 months, whatever you are learning today, half of it will go waste because the technology is changing so fast, things are changing so fast. Whenever you talk of ChatGPT, next day a new version is there or a new avatar is there or there is someone else who is making a better AI, sort of a large language model. So the things are changing very fast, and earlier the universities used to change the curriculum after say 10 years. Then it came to 5 years, and 3 years was considered very fast, that every 3 years a university is changing syllabus. Now there are universities, I was talking to the Vice Chancellor of Shulini University, they are changing the curriculum every 3 months. They say we have to change the curriculum every 3 months, otherwise whatever we are teaching to the students today becomes obsolete by the time the student passes out. So that is the dilemma which the universities are facing on what to teach, because the changes are happening very, very fast. Now, how to teach. So when you talk of how to teach, normally in our universities, the lecture method of teaching is followed. And in the lecture method of teaching, the teacher is teaching in the class, students are going home and then studying again. And मतलब अगर हिंदी में बोले तो बच्चे क्लास में पढ़ते हैं और घर में जाके उसको आत्मसात करते हैं. बाहर के देशों में क्या होता है, बच्चे घर से पढ़ के आते हैं और क्लास में आत्मसात करते हैं. कैसे? कि बच्चों को वो देते हैं वीडियोस, ऑडियोस, टेक्स्ट, they are given to the students in the before the lecture, before the class, and in the class what happens? Discussion happens, understanding happens, reasoning happens, group discussion happens, logical reasoning of whatever they have studied happens, problem solving happens. So the application part of it is understood. So the understanding is better. I mean, instead of sort of rote learning, the more focus is on understanding the concept. So in our country also, the national education policy says that we should enter into flipped classroom model. Flipped classroom model means, जब अभी बोल रही थी कि बच्चे घर से पढ़ के आते हैं और आके क्लास में आत्मसात करते हैं, हमारे देश में बच्चे क्लास में पढ़ते हैं और घर पे जाके आत्मसात करते हैं, तो उसको बिल्कुल उल्टा कर दो, फ्लिप कर दो. So that is flipped classroom model. So our universities should also sort of follow the flipped classroom model, in which the students will study at home and then all this discussion, analysis, rationalization, understanding, reasoning happens in the classroom. But for that, what is required? For that, the teachers have to give them the videos before the class, they have to give them audios before the class, they have to give them the text before the class. But are our teachers prepared to, rather equipped to make such videos? Are they trained to make a very good video content? Are they prepared to, are they trained to make e-content? I was dealing with SWAYAM program. My parent office has been University Grants Commission, and we started the SWAYAM program, which is a India MOOCs program. And I myself have seen that there are teachers who are the best teachers, very good teachers, but when they come in front of the camera, they fumble. They say it's easy to teach a class because when you teach a class, you get the response. You are able to understand whether the students are understanding or not. Even if they don't speak, their eyes speak, their body speaks. But in camera doesn't speak at all. So they don't understand whether anybody is understanding what I am speaking or not. So they used to fumble in front of a camera, and it was very difficult for them to make e-content. So we had to arrange special training programs for those teachers to make e-content. So making an e-content is also a art. I mean, you cannot be standing or sitting like this and just speaking like a newsreader. That will become very, very boring. It will not be an engaging lecture for the students. So how to create engaging e-content, that is really difficult. So how to teach using good e-content, how to learn how to make good e-content, and how to do this flipped classroom models in our universities, that is something which will be the future of education, but for which our universities, our teachers, our students, they all have to study a lot. They all have to exert a lot. We are talking of open book examinations. Sometimes the students are very happy. Open book examinations are aram ho jayega, like book is with me, I can just copy it down. But open book examination is most difficult, because there you are understanding the application part of it. For example, I remember like when I was young, I studied the Newton's law of cooling. So then somebody asked me, what is Newton's law of cooling? So I said, okay, this is the definition of Newton's law of cooling, that the rate of cooling is directly proportional to the difference in the temperature of the medium and the surroundings. Now, the next question is, suppose I am going for a bath. And I have filled water in a bucket. I mean, we used to take bath with bucket and mug only, not with showers. So I have filled water in a bucket, hot water. Suddenly my mother calls me and says, do this work and then go for the bath. Now the dilemma before me is whether I should keep the bucket like that, means only hot water, or I should mix it with the cold water and keep it a lukewarm water and then go. In which scenario will I get a hotter water when I come back? Now here the Newton's law of cooling has to be applied, but I don't know how to apply it. So if I don't know how to apply it, the application of whatever we learn in the classroom, many a time the students say, that we are learning so much, nothing is applied, the sine theta, cos theta, tan theta, nothing is applied. Why are we learning all these things, this Newton, all these laws of motion, it is not applied in the everyday life. But it is applied provided you know how to apply it. So this is very important, that we teach our students that how to apply the knowledge which you are gaining. So what to teach is different, how to teach is different, and how to assess and evaluate the students. Right now, how are we assessing and evaluate the students? 3 hours examination after the end of the semester. But is it the right way of assessing? National education policy itself says, no, this is not the right way of assessing. Because the assessment should be continuous, and it should not be the single mode of assessment. It should be multiple ways of assessment. It could be activities, projects, assignments, so many things. And don't be afraid that the assignments will be done through using ChatGPT. Rather, tell the students to use ChatGPT and make an assignment, and using ChatGPT again refine the assignment, and then even tell them how something we call as prompt engineering, that what type of prompt should be given to get a desired answer. So this is very important. So I feel that the basic, the most important is how to train our teachers to train in a different manner. And especially after this ABC program, I don't know how many of you know about the ABC program. ABC is not the alphabets, ABCDE. ABC is Academic Bank of Credit. Academic Bank of Credit is a scheme launched by the Government of India, in which the students can be doing different courses from different universities, and then for simplicity, I should say that then they will keep on depositing. In the Academic Bank of Credit, you don't deposit money, you deposit credits. So you open an account and you keep on depositing credits. And again, I'll make it simple. Suppose there's a passbook which is issued to every student, and in this it is written that this student did this course from this university with these many credits and this grade. Similarly, you keep on accumulating the credits, and when a threshold number of credits is there, you can go to the university and redeem your credits into a degree. Now that is something which is revolutionary, because today if you are studying, say, MBA, you cannot be doing physics or history or music or culture or arts. But with this ABC, whatever you want to learn, you can learn, because you can learn, and then you can learn from the university of your choice, at the time of your choice, in the mode of your choice. So that type of flexibility was never there with the students, which we have now. So when this ABC is there, and the courses are done from different universities, what do you think, which type of courses would be more popular? Which are taught by the best teachers. So that when we say that we don't know how to evaluate good teaching, but when we go into this ABC mode, the courses which are more popular means the courses which are taught by the best teachers. We'll evaluate the teachers also, that who are the best teachers. And then, again, I say the way we sort of pay salary to the teachers, that will also change. Once upon a time, Lata Mangeshkar used to get a monthly salary, and she used to she used to sing for a monthly salary. Today, can you think of even a small-time actor working on a monthly salary? No, they'll say, I'll need money episode-wise or item-wise or whatever, but not a monthly salary. Similarly, can you think of hiring a lawyer on a monthly salary? No, they'll take money, say, case-wise or rather hearing-wise. They won't come to you for a monthly salary. Similarly, teachers of future will refuse to work on a monthly salary. They'll say, I'll take money course-wise, not in one course. I can be teaching multiple courses in multiple universities and getting exposed to so many courses and getting much more money in the process. So the future is totally different. That's why whether it is for the students, and the students, it is more important, because now for the long time we have been talking about delinking jobs with the degrees. So now that is really happening. Now the knowledge which the student has, the skills which the students have, are more important than the degree which the student has. So again, I remember that Anant Agarwal is a chairman of CEO of edX. edX is a platform where you have many MOOCs courses. He says, I was standing on the Bangalore airport. One boy came. He came running and touched my feet. I asked him, who are you? He says, sir, I got a job because of you. He says, I don't even know you. How can you get a job because of me? He says, sir, I went for an interview, Tech Mahindra to be specific. I went for an interview to Tech Mahindra. There were many students. I was from a very small engineering college. There were students from very good engineering college. But when the interviews happened, I succeeded because I had done 10 courses from edX, which increased my knowledge and skill to that level that I could succeed, they could not, in spite of being from the best institutions. So the skill and the knowledge matters. So that every student who is sitting here, you should remember, degrees won't matter in future. Skill and knowledge, what you know will matter. What you can do for the company will matter. And what you can do which ChatGPT cannot do or AI cannot do, that will matter. Therefore, it is very important that you improve your skills, your caliber, your knowledge, and then you will be employable forever. And the most important thing, learning to learn. So learn how to learn. So that is most important. If you learn how to learn, you have won the battle. So with that, I will just stop and request Dr. Anurag Batra for the award ceremony. So thank you very much. All the best to everybody. Thank you.